The Ivy League Network is proud to present the best in women's collegiate gymnastics. From the John J. Lee Amphitheater in New Haven on the campus of Yale, the Bulldogs of Yale University host the William and Mary Tribe. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mark Robbins, along with my partner Allison Gaskins. And Allison, it's great to be here for a second consecutive week as we get to watch Yale Gymnastics. And this Yale Bulldog team coming off the Don Turney Invitational, a very, very strong performance in winning that quad meet. They really focused a lot on improvement in one area, and it really showed last week.
Mark, 5 meets into this season, both teams are settling down, specifically the Bulldogs. They're showing the confidence and their routine. Speaking of that confidence, we saw it on balance beam last meet at the Don Turney Invitational. They came out with a first-place spot in the school record books with a score of a 49.05. That's an amazing score, and it was led by the freshman, Ball Divino, who earned an impressive career high of a 9.925, also earning herself a place in that school record book, first in Yale history with that score on the balance beam, Mark.
All right, and William and Mary comes into this meet after a season-high score in their previous meet at the University of Maryland. We're talking about the second and third-ranked teams in the ECAC as far as overall team scores. They're ranked highest in second and third highest in average as we take a look at William and Mary and what the Tribe has done over the last couple of weeks.
As you see, Mark, they have improved their score, not so much between the last two, but they stayed right around the same. The first two, at NC State and George Washington. Not much of a change there, but they weren't able to improve that score at Maryland. They have been on a steady increase from their season opener, and now going on to the Yale Bulldogs, they've also been increasingly improving their score over the course of their past couple of meets. They started off with a season high ever for the history of the Bulldogs, and then, as you see right here, they moved from a 192 to 192.8 all the way up to a 194.275. That marked the 5th highest overall score in Yale Bulldog history. It's the highest team score for Yale Gymnastics since 2003.
Now, both of these squads are coming in, and they're being really led, especially in the all-around performance, by a couple of freshmen. For Yale, Ball Divino, with a tremendous performance last week at the Don Turney Invitational.
And Ball Divino, she's had a little bit of a struggle this past week with her shin splints. They weren't thinking she would compete vault and floor today to be able to save her legs for the Ivy Classics next week so that those shin splints don't turn into stress fractures, but she has been a huge impact on this Yale Bulldog success so far.
Ball Divino, a freshman from Atherton, California. For William and Mary, freshman Katie Waldman from Omaha, Nebraska, the top vaulter right now by score in the ECAC and third-ranked all around.
She's also 4th right now in the ECAC on beam. She's keeping herself in the top 5 on those 3 events. She also came off the week of January 26th with an ECAC Rookie of the Week award.
Basically the halfway point of the season for both of these squads, and you'll notice on the apparel, on the uniforms, if you will, for both squads today, in particular for Yale, you see the teal bows and the support that they are showing for those victims of Dr. Larry Nassar.
The victims, that's something that has affected the entire sport of gymnastics. It's a very tight, close-knit group. Many of these women know other athletes that were affected by Larry Nassar. So it's really important that they were able to come out today for them and show their support with these ribbons.
And if you're unfamiliar, Dr. Larry Nassar recently convicted on many counts of sexual harassment. He's a former team doctor for USA Gymnastics and Michigan State University, a story that had made national headlines, or really international headlines, for the unfortunate situation and those many victims. And the support in the gymnastics community continues to be strong, grow, and very vocal. Now, as we get set for the opening rotation, it will be Yale on vault to start things off. William and Mary will start off on the uneven parallel bars. And beginning things, as we say, for Yale, they are setting up with Emma Firmstone, followed by Alyssa Firth, Roxanne Trachtenberg, Jade Buford, J.C. Ball Divino, Rebecca Chung will be the 6 that will score for Yale today.
At the end of that, they will have an exhibition by Rowan Palmer. But both teams are finishing up that 4-minute touch warm-up. That's their last chance to touch the equipment before you go out and compete for a score. It's also the last chance to visualize that routine. See those duck landings. Get your mind set, because the mind of gymnastics, Mark, is just as important as the physical aspect of it.
This is the first dual meet for both of these squads, as they've been in tries, and of course the quad last week, the Don Torney Invitational here at Yale that the Bulldogs won. And Emma Firmstone starting things off.
That's not Emma Firmstone, Mark. That's actually Roxanne Trachtenberg. It looks like they might have competed out of order, which will be a neutral team deduction, as long as that was a scored vault.
Well, let's see. I don't know that it was. I think we're just getting into the beginning.
So that could have been her last touch.
It might have been over on the uneven parallel bars. It looks like William and Mary's about to begin. They had a little team huddle off camera. And, of course, William and Mary, they'll start with Mary Grayson Gordon, Erica Marr, Taylor White, Evan Pakshong, Katie Waldman, and Caroline Capponi. Those will be the 6 that will score for the Tribe on the uneven parallel bars.
Starting with Mary Grayson Gordon. She's had some troubles on the parallel bars, unable to break that 9.00 score. But today, that's her goal, and you have to keep that mind, body tight, get out there and do exactly what you do in practice. And right now she's playing that waiting game, Mark. That is no fun. When you're ready to go, and you have to stand there and wait for the judges, wait for everything else to get set, try not to get in your head. But if we can go over to the vault, we got Jade Buford, and she'll run right past that vault. If she doesn't touch the vault, you do have 3 chances. So as long as she doesn't touch the vault physically, then she is able to do a run by, as you just saw.
So something that either a misstep or...
Most likely her footing was off. So an athlete will do that when they're not lined up exactly where they want to be for that vault. So if her footing was a little off or her speed was a little untimed, that's when she'll take herself to the side, give herself one more shot to get it right. So she is taking that one last deep breath before she approaches the vault table. And that was a front handspring front pike. I think she competed a front handspring front tuck last meet. Looked like she tried to push it into a pike today.
Great height on the vault for Jade Buford, the sophomore from Coppell, Texas. And the Texas Dreams club gymnastics that she competed in her youth days, way, way back in the day, if you will.
And Texas Dreams is a very accredited training program for not only level 10 athletes, but also at the elite level. They have multiple members on national team, numerous college athletes that they've placed throughout the state, throughout the world. Very, very solid training program over there at Texas Dreams, where Jade Buford is a product of. And you can see over there on the uneven bars, Mark just settling their teammates down, putting her hands on the shoulders of Erica Marr as she is about to begin her bar set. Sometimes those last-minute words of encouragement are all you need to have a great routine.
Well, back over on vault, we'll try to get you the right order, but it doesn't appear that J.C. Ball Divino is the next up.
Unsure if she was even going to compete this vault today. She's going to compete a Yuchenko full. Beautiful Yuchenko full. Nice duck landing, nice height. Great block off the table. She was able to find that footing on her landing. That should post a nice score.
J.C. Ball Divino, the freshman from Atherton, California, Northern California, San Mateo Gymnastics.
By the look on her face, you would have no idea that she was battling some shin splint injuries at the moment.
Very fluid and free in that approach and vault. Rebecca Chong will follow, according to the rotation summary that we've been given prior to this meet.
Rebecca Chong, when we get back to her on the vault, she's going to compete a Yurchenko half, so only a half turn out of her mount onto the table, where we just saw Yurchenko full, so a little bit shorter. That will start at a little bit lower of a start value for that vault, which we will see in just a second.
We believe Evan Pakshong up now on the uneven parallel bars for William and Mary. Look at Evan.
Straddle up handstand. That was a bail down to low bar, ending in a handstand, making her way back up to the high bar. You have to utilize both bars to get full credit. Getting prepared for that double layout dismount. Looks like she piked down in that second rotation. That will be a slight deduction, but found her footing at the end.
Fourth in the uneven parallel bars in ECAC rankings. The sophomore from Los Angeles, Pakshong. Broadway Gymnastics, her training center, a all-academic performer in the ECAC a year ago. And there goes Chong on the vault.
But taking a look one more time at the dismount, she was able to get above that high bar on her release. Again, we saw that pike down during that second rotation, which will amount in a deduction.
A look at Chong coming through, and you got a quick peek at Katie Waldman for William and Mary over on the bars. Third in ECAC rankings in the all-around.
Take a look back at that vault. Here's JC Ball Divino with her Yurchenko full. Look at that height off the table, form in the air, a little pike down at the end.
And a big smile for some happiness.
Very big smile.
After nailing that vault.
Do you get extra points for a smile? I don't think so, but maybe
in
maybe
my book
should.
you do. In my book you do. Sell it.
You would be a very nice judge.
Yes, I would. be high scores all the way around. And
that will count as a fall. Looks like her toes just touched that mat on her bail.
This is Katie Waldman.
Handstand right on top of the bar.
Really the top overall all-around gymnast for William and Mary.
She had a full-in dismount. Very difficult dismount. She also had a beautiful piked Jaeger before she had her misstep on the bail down to the low bar, which caused her toes to touch that mat, which does count as a 5/10 deduction.
Waldman is a freshman from Omaha, Nebraska.
There's that full and dismount. Full and half turn dismount. Very difficult. Here's Rowan Palmer for the exhibition, we believe, Mark, on vault. If not, she might be competing for a team score, but according to the list that we were given beforehand, it is an exhibition.
Rowan Palmer for Yale, freshman out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Competed at the meet at Iowa State.
Yurchenko layout, couple steps back. Didn't get that chest up as high as she needed to on her landing. Solid form in the air, but those steps back will take some points off her final score.
Take a look at it one more time, Allison.
You'll see the height she gets off the table. Not as high as she'd like to get that final rotation. That's why her chest was low on the landing. But there's some improvement on that vault.
Well, and that is the end of the vault rotation for the Bulldogs of Yale. William and Mary finishing up on the uneven bars. This is Caroline Capponi.
Bail right off the top to a nice handstand. You need the handstand to be right on top of the bars. The judges are looking for that handstand, looking for that complete line. Full turn, straddle Jaeger. Straddle up to handstand, getting ready for her dismount. Almost done with this routine. Double lay, opened up hips, nice duck landing. She fought for that landing, zeroed in, was able to drag her heels together there at the end. You do have to have your heels touching when you salute the judges, or it is a 0.05 deduction off. So you're looking for those heels to come together.
Let's see if she got it.
Let's check it out one more time. She really fought for this one, Mark.
Salute. Well, there you go.
Little arm swing to help that balance out.
Little extra salute.
So it will be a small deduction for those arm swings, but gorgeous dismount.
And they will have Monica Ulay in an exhibition now for the tribe of William and Mary out of Williamsburg, Virginia. Made the bus ride up yesterday. Ulay comes from Canada, a senior. Certainly hope William and Mary gets back without much trouble with the impending snowstorm that we're supposed to be getting here on the East Coast.
And Ulay only competes on the uneven bars. And while she's a great athlete, she's also a great scholar. She's a 3-time ECAC All-Academic team member. Many of the William and Mary gymnasts have that recognition. I shall start off on the high bar. Half turn. Piked straddle Jaeger. Excuse me. Toe on handstand down to the low bar with a bail. Finding that handstand, jumping up to the high bar. Straddle up, getting ready for her dismount. One more full turn right on top of the bar. Nice turn. Double back. Landed on her heels as she tried to lift her chest up and adjust for her landing. Took a couple steps back.
Well, Monica Ulay with an exhibition on the uneven bars.
That was that amazing full turn right on top of the bar. You saw how she was able to completely rotate right on top of the bar. It looked like she released a little too early, and so her rotation, her double back rotation, was actually happening underneath the high bar when you do want it to come up and above the high bar. So you're looking for the height on that dismount, and her height was a little low, and that's why her rotation had her taking a couple steps back there at the end.
So one rotation is complete. The scores are being tabulated for the first set. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Second rotation coming up between Yale and William and Mary here on the Ivy League Network.
Hello, I'm Noah Fins, and this is Inside Yale Athletics, sponsored by Under Armour. Next year, Yale will have a new athletic director. Vicki Chun, named as the successor to Tom Beckett, becoming the first ever woman to hold that post.
Vicki Chun as Yale University's next Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Recreation. Everyone I spoke to during the search process was so positive about Vicki.
Vicki Chun is a former athlete, coach, and athletic administrator at Colgate University. She starred on the school's volleyball team, the team she went on to coach.
She's currently the only individual in NCAA Division I history to earn both Player and Coach of the Year in the same conference. Bulldog, welcome to Vicki.
I'm just trying to get over the excitement of having to walk a handsome Dan to the podium, or maybe he was walking me.
Chun may have a strong athletic background, but academics was always most important in her family. Her parents are not exactly well-versed in sports. In fact, she says when she worked for the NCAA, her parents told family she worked at the NAACP.
What they may not understand athletics, but they understand academics. And so when I told them that I got a position at Yale, it just blew their mind.
Vicki believes, as I do, that a strong athletics program can help us fulfill Yale's mission, the mission to educate aspiring leaders who serve all sectors of society.
On this day, she was welcomed by Yale staff, including the coaches, all of whom say she should expect a warm embrace from the Yale family.
As you come into this community, you realize how strong this community is, and I think more of for her, it will be comforting for her to realize how strong this community is and how much this community has her back and her support when she does things that she wants to do with the athletic program.
And the more I met people from Yale across the campus, and the way they spoke about Yale athletics, it just got me so excited, and I did everything I could to get this position and be here.
Chun will officially take over the helm when longtime athletic director Tom Beckett retires at the end of this school year.
I have to admit, it is quite humbling to be following in the footsteps of one of Yale's greatest leaders, the longest-serving athletic director in school history and Yale's greatest fan, Tom Beckett.
While she served as the athletic director at Colgate, the athletes there combined for a higher grade point average than the rest of the student body. It's part of the reason she is so highly regarded at a national level.
I look forward to enhancing the success of our programs, celebrating even more Ivy League championships, and always beating Harvard.
The Ivy League. It's where traditions are born.
Let's go!
And last March, we made history. Come be a part of Ivy Madness.
Tournament championship goes to the Penn Quakers.
Princeton Tigers are going to the NCAA tournament.
One of the best things about ECAC hockey is that you get this incredible academic experience in playing hockey at the highest level.
And I think that's the really unique thing about the ECAC. You see young women who are balancing both and have huge aspirations.
There's so many teams in the ECAC that are able to compete at that national level every single year.
Clarkson, Frozen Four champion!
This is not about 4 years of playing hockey. It's about the next 40, 45 years of your life. And it couldn't be a greater investment.
I wasn't born fast. It's taken 27 years of sore muscles, bruised knees, and a few close shaves. Speed is my mindset, my drive, my determination, the one goal I never stop chasing. There's awesome inside everyone, but it's up to you to unleash it.
My name is Marianne Santucci. I'm on the Yale women's basketball team, class of 2018. I think sometimes outside of the league there's a connotation that maybe like athletics aren't that huge of a deal here when it's just not the case. It's just that knowing that you have to really come to play every day in your respective sport and your whatever your major is in the classroom. The opportunity that this league opens for your life is pretty amazing.
All right, back at the John J. Lee Amphitheater, Payne Whitney Gym on the campus of Yale as we get set for the second rotation. Yale working out last moments or so on the uneven bars. They're doing a flip-flop. It'll be William and Mary on the vault. And let's talk about, you talked about the dismounts and the landings and the breakdown there at the deductions, Allison.
So NCAA rules, this is how they break them down. If you have a stick, mark no deduction. A small step or a hop backwards is 1/10 or less, depending on how nice the judges want to be. A large step or hop is about 2/10 or more, so anywhere from 2/10 to 3 or 4/10. Again, to the judge's discretion. And if you fall, it's a 5/10 minimum deduction off your final score.
Second rotation about to begin. And again, Yale on the bars. Emma Firmstone will lead things off, and Mary Grayson, let's see, we'll have Madison Dwyer leading off on the vault for the tribe of William and Mary.
And for the bars today, you have senior Meg Ryan in the lineup. This is her specialty. It is senior night tonight, so it's her last time competing at home on the uneven bars for the Bulldogs. So you have to imagine, Mark, this is going to be more of an emotional routine for her.
A lot of sweat and excitement. I'm sure some moments of tears and all the good stuff. when you compete 4 years in intercollegiate sports and wrapping things up on a senior night. Team scores through the first rotation. William and Mary on the uneven bars, 48.450. Slightly ahead of Yale on the vault at 48.375. Tight first rotation as William and Mary get set, and up already on the bars, Emma Firmstone for Yale. Emma, the sophomore from Honesdale, Pennsylvania.
Emma Firmstone picking it up right here in the middle of her routine. There's her uphill to the high bar. Her dismount should be a toe-on front tuck. Very interesting dismount. Small step forward. Bring that foot back for the salute to her judges. Smile on her face. We'll have to look back at the highlights of that routine since we missed the beginning of it. But she has an ability to get a very high score on this routine, as her career high has been a 9.400, and that was last weekend at the Don Tonnery Invitational.
Madison Dwyer, by the way, competing, going through on the vault for the first time.
Here's that toe on front tuck dismount we just talked about right there by Emma Firmstone, the sophomore. Taking a look back on what went down on the vault.
Madison Dwyer.
Front handspring, front tuck, the same vault we actually saw earlier from Jade Buford for Yale. Small hop forward, didn't look like she got the height she quite needed to find her landing.
And she will prepare now. She's a little bit closer, or a little bit farther down the runway for her next attempt, as getting set on the uneven parallel bars for Yale is Jade Buford.
Jade Buford has a career high from last season of a 9.775 on this event. She has a very difficult bar routine. And on the bars, the judges are looking for those handstands. They're looking for the fluidity that the gymnast has, moving from skill to skill. They're looking for 2 flight elements, so 2 releases from the bar, at least a bar change, 1 or 2 bar changes going from the high to the low or low to high.
And let's take a look at Madison Dwyer, her second attempt.
Approaching that table. Front handspring, front tuck, nice form in the tuck. Not a big step forward. Solid vault, should post a decent score for the Tribe.
Jade Buford now getting ready. The salute.
Starting off with a jump to the high bar. Watch her form on the bar. She has amazing form. She's able to keep those legs glued together. That was her blind change to the straddle back. She had some difficulty earlier in the season on that move, then to her uphill, getting ready for her full in dismount. Very difficult dismount. Nice landing. She was able to open up, find her landing. Nice routine by the sophomore Jade Buford.
Outstanding finish for Buford.
And there's that form I'm talking about. Her legs are completely glued together. You didn't see her knees come apart one time during that full in rotation. Saluting the judges with a smile on her face, getting those extra points, Mark.
Taylor White here for William and Mary on the vault.
And that was a Yurchenko half.
Taylor White from Chesterfield, Virginia, the sophomore.
Talking with her teammates as she's walking off that vault. Let's take a look back at the Yurchenko half. Here's that half rotation right there at the end. Little step forward with that right leg.
She ranks 4th in the all-around in ECAC standings at this point. Again, this is basically the halfway point of the season of 11 meets. This is meet number 5 for both squads, both schools. Coming up for Yale on the uneven bars, Roxanne Trachtenberg.
Roxanne competed vault earlier, but she really is a bars specialist. I love watching her on the uneven bars. She has great fluidity throughout her routine. We watched her warming up earlier. She looked very solid, very confident on the uneven bars. She'll start off with a mount to the high bar. Giant, then a full turn right on top of that bar, finding her handstand. That was a ginger kip cast. Release move. She'll get a bail or a shoot over, you can call it either or, down to that low bar. Moving back up to the high bar for her double layout dismount. Seeing if she can find that position in the air. Double tuck dismount. It looks like she didn't get the lay. She was definitely looking for the lay. Something happened there where she drew those knees in, tried to finish it off with the tuck to get that rotation. She needed to try to land up on her feet. Not quite the landing she is capable of.
See if you can see where it started to come undone.
It didn't even look like she attempted the layout here, and normally that's what she competes. She's known for competing her double layout dismount. She has a beautiful form on that dismount. She might have just felt uncomfortable in her grip going into her dismount and decided to pull it in for a tuck and try to get that rotation that she didn't feel like she had.
This is Taylor White, her second vault for William and Mary.
Another Ncaa half. Her chest is lagging a little behind on that. You saw her chest land behind her feet when her feet touched the mat. That caused her to pull it forward, take a step. You got to draw everything in to zero in on those landings, especially with the Ncaa half because it's a blind landing because you're landing facing the forwards.
On the uneven bars for Yale next will be JC Ball Divino.
Mark, we said this before. JC's just a freshman, already accumulating so many accolades, not only in the Yale record books, as we mentioned earlier, but in the ECAC. She's in contention for the ECAC Rookie of the Year award. She's definitely up there as the top athletes being considered for that title. And here she is beginning her bar set. She'll start with a very difficult blind turn to a piked Jaeger, making her way down to the low bar with a shoot over. And she makes her way back up to that high bar. Straddle handstand. She'll have a double tuck dismount after that full turn. Height above the bar, stuck landing. You couldn't have asked for more from the freshman.
JC Ball Divino, another strong performance on the uneven parallel bars. Check it out again, the ending here, Allison.
Watch the form here in her tuck. Look how she gets above that high bar, grabs those legs, finds her form, gets the landing. Didn't get those heels together though, Mark. That will be a small deduction.
And on the vault for William and Mary, this is Katie Weber.
A half on the table to a pike off. So a half turn, front handspring, half on, pike off, vault. That's a vault we haven't seen yet in the meet today or the Don Tonry Invitational.
You're looking at Katie Waldman preparing, another Katie, the back-to-back Katie rotation for William and Mary on the vault. Coming up next on the uneven parallel bars will be Megan Ryan for Yale. Ryan, one of the three seniors competing for the Bulldogs today out of Colorado Springs. A history of science, medicine, and public health major.
That's another thing you have to consider, the difficulty of academics that these young women are studying.
She's
while
up
they're
now.
Also
see if we can get the end of her
bar
routine on the bars.
Here we go, get it just in time for her dismount. It'll be a double layout. Opening up her hips, small hop, and this is an emotional ending. Her last time competing here at home on the uneven bars. Wow, what emotion we just saw there from Meg Ryan's face, and then on the vault for the tribe.
Katie Waldman coming through for William and Mary. Let's see the end of that routine for Meg Ryan.
Little bent legs right there, but she's able to get that height. Her legs came apart just a bit in the air. But again, that last routine, those emotions are something you can't recreate. You don't know how you're going to feel when you get up there on the bars for one of your last times. Just enjoying the moment is the most important thing. And back on the vault, we have a Yurchenko layout. Not quite the position you're looking for in the layout, as she was slightly piked down from her hips, not in that 180 or over position.
That's Rebecca Chong getting ready. Well, excuse me, Jessica Wong getting ready for the final performance for Yale on the uneven parallel bars.
Jessica Wong was an elite athlete, which is above level 10. So she competed at that next level internationally. And at that level, you're training 35 to 40 hours a week. It's a full-time job, Mark.
And on the vault for William and Mary, Sophie Harris, as Wong is up.
She'll start with a blind half turn to a Jaeger. Hip cast, free hip to handstand. Her shoot over down to the low bar, making her way back up. Getting ready for her full-in dismount. Stuck. Those feet, I don't know if she put some glue on there before her routine, but she didn't have one little movement on her dismount. And Mark, we talk about why the stick is so important. It doesn't have a ton of deduction. There is a deduction if you don't hit it, but it's the last thing the judges see, and it's the most obvious in a routine. There she is, getting above the high bar on that dismount. You don't see her feet move 1 inch.
She barely moved when she turned
landing
around to salute.
She's like, I'm not giving up.
And on the vault at the same time for William and Mary, Sophie Harris coming through.
You got a Yurchenko layout, another Yurchenko layout. Nice form in the air. A little low off the vault table. Her block could have been a little higher out of her shoulders, pressing off that table to give her a little bit more height, some more time for her rotation.
You see a 9-9 on the score for Wong on the uneven parallel bars. As both squads have completed their second rotation.
And that 9-9 on the uneven bars for Wong will be a career high for her, Mark, as her career high was from 2016 at a 9.85, so big score.
We've got some tabulating to do. 2 rotations in the book. We'll come back in just a moment. Rotation number 3. Before we do that, here's my colleague Noah Finns from Vantage Sportsnet and Yale's Inside Yale Access.
Hello, I'm Noah Finns, and this is Inside Yale Athletics, sponsored by Under Armour. It's hardly soccer season, yet here we are at Reese Stadium, where Carlin Hudson, a Yale senior, is working hard. That's because she has the rare opportunity to play soccer at the professional level.
2018 NWSL College Draft, the North Carolina Courage select Carlin Hudson from Yale University.
With that announcement, Carlin Hudson becomes Yale's first ever women's soccer player to be drafted by a pro team.
Hard-nosed defender, just physical, gets stuck in, gets in.
Feels good to be able to say that, and it's definitely special. I never thought I would hear my name in that type of setting, like saying they would select Carlin Hudson, so I was kind of shell-shocked, but super excited.
It's rare for a defender from an Ivy League school to be drafted. And the story is even more impressive considering Hudson wasn't the most recruited player out of high school. Oh, she was a very good youth player and stood out at the high school level, but it was looking like she wasn't even going to get an opportunity to play at the next level.
I thought that I just wasn't going to be playing soccer in college, and I was kind of okay with that at that point in my life. It was something that I had accepted because of the way that things had panned out.
But Yale offered her a recruited walk-on position, and she made the best of it.
But she's so determined. She's one of the most determined players I've ever coached.
When given her chance to play her freshman year, she impressed and never lost that starting role, all the while earning a reputation as a shutdown defender.
I asked her to play man-to-man, which you can't find players today to try to do that, to play somebody man-to-man. And she played man-to-man against Mitch Purse, who was the best player in the league for 4 years at Harvard, who's on the full national team now. We asked her to mark Mitch Purse for the entire game, and she did it, and that was one of the only games in that career of hers at Harvard that Harvard didn't score in an Ivy League game.
And now she gets a chance to make her mark with the pros. So every day she continues the hard work that got her to this point. She may have been drafted, but now she has to earn a spot on the team.
You know, coming into Yale, I wasn't supposed to be anybody and made like a pretty good career out of my time here. It's not necessarily that I'm going in with a chip on my shoulder, but it's going in knowing that I have so much to prove.
When she gets to training camp, she'll have 5 weeks to impress the coaches and earn a contract. 5 weeks competing with and against the best players in the world, the same players who are playing on the U.S. national team.
You know, they're like my idols, and it's crazy, and I'm always watching them, talking about how great it must be to beat them and how great at soccer they are. And then last night I watched them play Denmark and realized that 3 of the people on that team were going to be my future teammates. I never would have anticipated either like competing for a spot against somebody like that or actually having to defend someone of that caliber.
Her coach says if anyone can do it, it's her. She came into Yale a good but relatively unheralded player who turned herself into the team captain and a player opponents feared.
This is a prime example to show you that you can come in an Ivy League environment and develop as a player good enough to play in the professional ranks afterwards and still have your Yale degree.
It is really exciting that I've been able to accomplish so much as someone who, you know, on paper wasn't supposed to at all. And so I'm really glad that I find myself in this position right now.
Intelligent mobility technologies, like automatic emergency braking that can help you stop safely. Automatic emergency braking now on the Nissan Rogue family. Save up to $10,260 on select models, or get 0% for up to 72 months on 13 models. Get to Nissan, proud supporter of college athletics.
Visit the Shops at Yale in historic downtown New Haven, where shopping is a personal pleasure and your favorite brands are easy to find. Where award-winning restaurants are around every corner and parking is always easy. Join visitors from all over the region and explore more than 60 shops and restaurants, plus world-renowned museums, galleries, and theaters. For more information, visit theshopsatyale.com.
Well, the John J. Lee Amphitheater is buzzing after 2 rotations as Yale and William & Mary in a tight matchup with the Bulldogs now slightly ahead, just slightly more than a 1/10 of a point through the 2 rotations. If you want to get particular, Yale with a little higher score in the uneven parallel bars and a little better score in the vault in comparison for William & Mary. And thus you have the 97.050 to 96.925 score through 2 rotations. Yale getting set now for the beam, while William & Mary already underway on the floor exercise. And for William & Mary on the floor, you're looking at Taylor White.
Being on, I believe, her first pass, double pike. Nice height on that rotation. Getting in her dance elements. And these turns, these jumps sequence, that's a required element of a floor routine. You have to hit that 180-degree mark for full credit. Dancing her way into the corner for her second pass. It'll be a right-off, 1.5 front pike.
Flirting with that end line.
Getting real close. If you step out of bounds, it's only a 3/10 deduction, so not quite equivalent to a fall, but you still get a decent amount of deduction taken off. And Mark, you'll see a lot of gymnasts work their way around the floor, work different levels, getting onto the floor, standing back up. Those are all required elements of the floor routine when counting and calculating that final score. There she is with a big double back to finish chest low. Height was a little low on that rotation, causing her to finish short with a chest low.
Taylor White from William & Mary, and wrapping up on the balance beam for Yale, Charlotte Cooperman.
And
her first appearance.
We missed it, Mark,
sort of.
But I have a story about Charlotte Cooperman in just a second as we take a look back on what went down on the floor. Here's that double pike, her first pass. Chest a little low on her landing, but able to complete that rotation. Second pass. That's the 1.5 to a front pike. Front layout, excuse me. And her final double back dismount, pulling her legs in tight for the tuck, chest landing low, a little short on her landing there. Not bad. But on the beam, let's take a look back on what Charlotte Cooperman was able to do. We caught the end of her dismount. And interesting enough, Charlotte Cooperman competes a no hands beam routine. Her hand isn't taped, or it is taped right now. You'll see
yes, the
on
left
that left
wrist,
that left
thumb,
wrist.
right?
Yeah, she had an injury before competition season this year where it was between her thumb and her index pointer finger, and she had to get some surgery to repair that ligament. So she competes the beam only with no hands. So all of her passes, all of her connections are without her hands having to touch that balance beam.
Kiara Allain coming up now on the beam, the junior from Houston for Yale. Second of the 6 that will compete for the Bulldogs.
So she'll start off with a big, difficult connection with a back handspring step out, layout, step out. Able to stay on, save that skill. Her teammates call her Key, and she has a lot of personality. Side aerial. Switch side. Coming up on her jump connection. It'll be a beat jump to a split full. Right after her full turn. Split full turn, nice turn. Completely on her equilibrium, able to find the end of the beam. That's where you spot to stay on. She has a front full dismount. Solid routine. Aside from that first little bobble, she was able to use all the energy to stay on. Let's take a look back on that front full dismount. Nice rotation in the air.
Key Allain with a key to success. As we move over back to the floor, this will be for William & Mary, Elizabeth Snotty from Gilbert, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix.
Blowing on her hands, drying them off. Sometimes you get some sweaty palms there waiting for your turn. You'll see her there now, down in the bottom right of your screen. Saluting her judges as she'll walk onto the floor, signifying that she is ready to start her floor exercise. Starting right off the bat with her first pass. Back handspring double pike. Landing a little short. Getting in those dance elements. On floor, you are required 3 tumbling passes unless you're able to supplement it with a difficult turn combination. That was a front 1.5 front tuck. Her switch leap to a split full, split half, split half. Showing those different levels on the floor. Getting in all the required elements of a floor routine. And coaches will typically throw in some additional elements into all floor routines just to make sure that you receive full credit. Preparing for her third and final pass. Front full to a stag jump. And she's done as Emma Firmstone just finished up on the beam for the Bulldogs.
Elizabeth Snotty.
Let's take a look back at the passes, the 3 passes by Elizabeth. We've got her first double pike, getting her chest up on her landing. Then it was a 1.5 to a front pike. I thought it was a tuck before, but it looked like a pike right there. Then she has a front full to finish.
And from Elizabeth, Evan Pakshong will follow on the floor. And over on the beam, after Emma Firmstone completed her performance, we will take a look at her dismount.
Here's Emma Firmstone. Looks like she lost her footing there on the beam. She had some difficulty on beam mark, if you remember from last meet at the Dawn Tonry Invitational.
I'll tell you what, last week it was a focal point of their practice the previous week leading up to the Tonry Invitational, and they came through with a tremendous team score. We're going to try and keep the consistency going on the beam now with Jessica Wong.
That's where the ability to have 6 competitors and only count 5 scores comes to your benefit. When you only have 1 fall, you're able to count 5 hit routines.
The junior from Chino Hills, California, Jessica Wong.
Very elegant on the beam. There's a front aerial. Lost her balance just a tad. The back handspring, step out, layout, step out. Typically she would want to connect those, so she would want it to be one fluid transition. There's her full turn, showing no bobbles. Nice toe point into her side aerial. Chest lifted proud at the end of that one. Dancing her way to the back of the beam. Switch jump, straddle, quarter turn. Nice lines on her beam routine. She'll have a gainer off the end of the beam for a stuck landing. That's a score that will help the Bulldogs stay above the competition.
And don't they know it? Rushing over to Jessica Wong. We'll look at it, the dismount one more time.
Here's that gainer off the end of the beam. So a gainer is off one leg. Drew her legs together to find her form in the air before finishing with the well-deserved stick. Now on floor, double back, landed short, chest low.
This is Evan Pakshong from Los Angeles, sophomore.
Just a sophomore. There's a round off back handspring. 2.5. Very difficult pass. That was an illusion turn, not commonly seen in
didn't
gymnastics.
Really turn? No.
A very difficult turn, but you typically see that in dance, so she might have some dance background that we don't know about, Mark. Switch half to a split half jump. Teammates are all cheering her on. You see them there in the bottom of your screen for that last pass. Front layout, front full, landed not how she wanted right there. A little low, not able to get her rotation. She tried to fit in that front pike, but it wasn't going to happen today.
So the sophomore for William and Mary, Evan Pakshong.
That fall will be a 5/10 deduction.
Over on the beam, in just a moment, we'll see Jade Buford.
See what went wrong on her first pass, landing a little short, unable to get the rotation that she needed. Second pass, there's that 2.5 twist, unable to complete the rotation, so had to take a step out. And that front layout, front full. The front full, there was just no energy left, no momentum left to complete it. Frustrating for a gymnast because you know you're able to complete those skills, and to not be able to go out and do that, it's difficult.
Here's Jade Buford, the dismount off the beam.
And she'll have a front full off the beam. Nice position there in the air. She has a very strong beam routine. I know we weren't able to see it as we were on the floor, but the smile from Jade right there shows that it was probably a pretty good routine.
J.C. Ball Divino will be next up, the final performer for Yale on the beam.
Remember, Mark, she holds the school record now for this event. First in the school record books, and Yale dates all the way back to 1973. That is a huge accomplishment for this freshman.
See if we can get over to the beam and watch
J.C. Ball Divino.
J.C. Ball Divino.
Start off confidently so far. See how sharp her movements are, Mark? She shows no room for error. Back handspring, step out, layout, step out. Not one bobble there. Very confident on this routine. Makes those 4 inches look like 10. Switch ring to a beat jump. Getting in her dance elements as you have to dance forwards, backwards, and sideways on the beam. Nice full turn. Showing the maturity of a senior here on this event. Front aerial, little balance check. Looking right at the judges there. You have to like that personality. Getting ready for her gainer full off the side of the beam. Beautiful landing. She's so happy with that routine. So are all of her teammates. I can't tell you, Mark, if she'll beat the score from last week, but that will post a very big score for the Bulldogs. Taking a look back at that dismount, that gainer full right off the side of the beam. Zeroing in to making sure that her feet don't move 1 inch. You saw everything in her face and her body tense up to keep that landing. Now she gets to breathe and relax.
What a performance. Strengthening the beam team score. As we go over, I believe Katie Waldman here on the floor.
Double pike
landing.
landing a little short on that double pike we just saw, Mark. Here's a front handspring, front full, front pike. So connecting those 3 elements together. Then here's a round off. 1.5 front pike. In slow motion, it just looks cooler. Sometimes you really get to break down the skills and see all the rotations that they do. And if we can take our cameras back over to beam, we have Alyssa Firth, who just mounted up.
This is an exhibition. The score will not count toward the team total for Yale on the beam.
Alyssa's a freshman who's really begun to step it up. That was a front aerial, back handspring step out, and right now, you kind of wish her score did count.
Well, and explain as we see this, some of her performances today are part of the rotation. Others, like this, is an exhibition. What's the philosophy that Yale has with this?
Having an exhibition gives you that experience of competing in a collegiate environment. At the club level, Mark, you only compete 4 to 6 times a year. So being able to get those reps in at the collegiate level when you have an 11-game or an 11-meet season, it's important to get comfortable in all 4 events, get comfortable in a college setting because it's very different than the club level, and to just give you that experience of getting your routine scored and seeing where you rank. She's still going on the beam. That was a switch leap, switch half you just saw there as she fans herself, cooling herself off. She knows she's on fire so far with this routine. All she has left is that dismount, and it'll be a back 1.5 off the end. Small hop forward, little deduction there. You want that score to count eventually. That will be a nice score for Alyssa Firth. She's, again, marked just a freshman, very confident on the beam. And I like how she prepares for her dismount. She almost reminds me of like a horse in that sense, and how she kicks that foot back and gets ready for her 1.5 off the end.
Well, the beam competition, this rotation complete for Yale. We will be tallying up the scores. We are watching now, and the end of the routine, when I believe this too, I'm going to say it again, Katie Waldman. They have two Katies that competed in the vault, and look like two Katies competing in the floor. However, only one is listed.
Team of Katies. We'll take a look back probably at some of her passes in just a second.
9.725 on the exhibition score for Alyssa Firth. As we go back and look at the passes here.
There's a back handspring, double pike. The Tribe has been landing short on that double pike rotation for a couple of their athletes today. Here's a front 1.5. And her last and third pass. No hands getting into her double back, double twisting. Back rotation. Not bad tumbling there. And we have one more up for William and Mary, the Tribe.
This is Aleah Kerr.
We have two more because it looks like they do have an exhibition as well on this event. Whether they use it or not, that is to be determined.
Aleah Kerr, 4th in ECAC rankings to this point in this floor exercise out of Fredericksburg, Virginia.
She's also 5th in the Tribe School books on floor with an impressive 9.9, able to score big numbers on this routine. That's a Shishkinova down to the floor. That was a Wolf full turn. Able to keep that form. Getting ready for a second pass. Round off back handspring, 1.5 front layout. Nice connection. Showing confidence on this floor exercise already. You can tell it's her event, just how she's presenting it right now to the judges. Watching her team get involved, that's always fun when you have your team cheering you on, especially for that last tumbling pass when you're trying to keep up your momentum. Big double back stuff, landing.
A tremendous routine from Aleah Kerr.
Just a junior. She has one more year in her here for the Tribe.
Some tremendous power and height in her tumbling passes, Allison, as we take another look.
Here's that first pass.
Forward and back.
Forward and backwards. Very difficult. Double pike. Look at that height. Like you just said, beautiful height, not landing short on that rotation. On her second one, we had that 1.5 to a front layout, opening up those hips, finding her form. Knees are slightly bent. Not much of a deduction. And for that final pass, you have a big double back with the stuck landing. Able to zero in, embrace the spring of the floor. Keep the chest lifted, and then proudly salute her judges there at the end.
All right, now we have one exhibition from Caroline Capponi.
She's a sophomore from Wisconsin. Actually, both her parents, Mark, were athletes at Colby College. Her mom ran track and field, and her dad played hockey and lacrosse, so she comes from an athletic family, to say the least. Setting up for her first tumbling pass. Right on her music. Musicality is factored into the score. That'll be a back handspring, double back. Chest lifted. She had enough height, enough rotation. On that first tumbling pass, you always want to make sure you don't have too much so that you're not using all your energy just for that first pass and that you're able to distribute it throughout the entire routine, staying consistent. Setting up for her second pass now. It's a 2.5. Right into the corner. Knowing her spatial awareness. Switch side. Straddle jump. Split half. Turn jump sequence you just saw there.
It's up-tempo music and a fast pace, it seems, in this routine.
And that's always fun. She's embracing it. Look at her smiles. You have to dance. You have to dance. You have to perform. Gymnastics is so much about performing. You know the skills that are to come. So just go out and execute and have fun with it. Setting up for her third and final tumbling pass. Gave herself a little breather between. That's the double back. Double twisting. Excuse me.
Caroline Capponi with an exhibition for William and Mary. And that will conclude the third rotation of this dual meet. Yale, William and Mary in a tight one going into this third rotation. We look at the final couple of passes for Capponi.
Starting off with that double back, getting the height she needed to land vertical. On her next one, it was the back handspring. 2.5. Nice rotation there in the air, nice form. Here she's able to keep her legs together. Look how glued they are. Look at that form. She's landing a little bit short, but her form in the air and the height was impressive.
3 rotations down, 1 more to go. Yale preparing for the floor, the beam for William and Mary. We're going to quick step away real quickly. And as we do, bring in my colleague Noah Finns with another story from inside Yale Athletics.
Hello, I'm Noah Finns for Inside Yale Athletics, sponsored by Under Armour. The women's basketball team is led by 3 seniors with something in common. They're all pre-med majors.
I tell these guys all the time, they're going to be my doctors one day.
They are well on their way. The 3 seniors, Jen Berkowitz, Marianne Santucci, and Tamara Simpson, have all somehow found a way to play high-level Division I sports while getting through one of the more demanding majors at one of the world's most demanding schools.
We've kind of teamed up since freshman year and did the path together, and having that person to say, hey, we got this, let's get to the library, let's study, let's talk it through.
We are in some of the same classes, and you always have a study partner or a lab partner, you know, so you're never going to a class like not knowing who's in it, because you have a teammate that you're really close with who is going through the trenches with you. So I really appreciate having those guys.
They've not only had each other, but a system that encourages academic success above everything else, rare in big-time college athletics.
Huge thing that drew me here was that just the ability to push myself so far on the basketball court, but also in the classroom, and actually make it possible. You know, the coaches and this whole school makes it possible to do that.
I'm going to go review for those of you who weren't at practice yesterday. At Yale, it's academics are #1 at all time. This is not a win at all costs environment. It's an environment that we all strive to operate in championship culture and be a champion in the way that we do everything, but it's never going to be at the cost of an academic requirement or something that's going to further our players' education.
They're all planning to take the medical school entrance exam this summer to, at some point, return to the rigors of intense study, something by now they've perfected considering their academic and athletic responsibilities now.
Time management's big, so you know, any little gap in the day, you gotta utilize it.
That means you're doing homework in the hotel. That's what's gonna happen. I remember my freshman year, Marianne and I took a chemistry exam at Dartmouth right before we were watching film and going to practice. So it's just, you get it done. And I think that's just the culture of the Ivy League student athlete. So nothing new.
Coach Goose says she marvels at how the athletes can be such dedicated students, yet also be all in when it comes to basketball.
You gotta care and lock in. To think I've got 3 seniors that are coming from lab where they're prepping themselves to be doctors, and I'm getting on them about being in a stance and getting over to help defense, and they're listening and they're gravitating towards it.
You have days where your body's saying no, but mentally you got to push to that last sprint. You got to make it, and it's not just for yourself, it's for your team. So if you miss that sprint, your whole team's running again. Once we step over the line, it's basketball.
I don't think you can look at many places across the country that have that type of special player that you're getting to work with on a daily basis. Go work on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go work!
The Ivy League. It's where traditions are born. And last March, we made history.
Tournament championship goes to the Penn Quakers.
Princeton Tigers are going to the NCAA tournament.
Come be a part of Ivy madness.
A few of us moved here, but now we are many. We grew up in this city, made our name in this city. But there's more we can do. Us in this city. There's strength in us both, grit in us both, determination in us both. It's not always pretty, the way we both win, but the world knows better than to count us out. Because no matter the challenge, we both rise. So what would happen if we rose up together, us in this city, trusted in each other and moved forward as one, us in this city? So there was no us in this city. There was just we. Imagine what we are capable of, what we can do when we set our minds to it, what incredible things we can accomplish. Imagine what happens when we decide we will.
My name is Shayna Schneider, and I'm going to show you how to rack up 10,000 steps a day while exploring new destinations. Next stop, New Haven, Connecticut. As a Yale graduate and New Haven resident, I love showing people around the city, and I think the best way to see it is on foot. Plus, walking is a great way to exercise. Now, if you'd like this walking route or to take a guided 10,000 step tour, visit my website at fitstylebysHayna.com.
Jen Berkowitz, Yale University. I'm a senior on the women's basketball team. At first, honestly, I wasn't too into going to an Ivy school, but then just coming to an Ivy and hearing the team speak to me and meeting with professors and just realizing how much of an opportunity it gives me was just too much to let go. I'm really getting the best of both worlds here. I get the best education, the best basketball, and the Ivy League is an extremely competitive league.
We are set for the 4th and final rotation here at Yale. Yale and William and Mary getting set. Yale on the floor, the balance beam being occupied by the tribe of William and Mary. As we take a look at the team score through 3 rotations, Yale with that 145.875 score. Now about 6.5 tenths, if that's the way you say it, lead. A little more than 6/10 of a point advantage going into the final rotation for the Bulldogs against William and Mary. And leading off on the beam for the visitors of William and Mary will be Caroline Capponi. We've seen her in a couple of exhibitions. And over on the floor, Alyssa Firth as well, going both scores that count and some of the exhibition scores as well.
Mark, I'm so excited to see Alyssa Firth in this floor lineup because she's been working so hard at practices to earn her spot in that lineup. She's able to be the leadoff today, and the leadoff position means consistency. It means a strong start. It's the first person, the first athlete on your team who gets to touch that floor and sets the tone for the rest.
So it'll be Firth and Sloan Smith, our first look at Sloan in competition today. Kiara Elaine, Emma Firmstone, JC Ball Divino, and Jade Buford, the anchor, if you will, on the floor for Yale. And on the beam, Capponi, Katie Waldman, Evan Paxson, Aaliyah Kerr, Madison Dwyer, and Taylor White. The sixth and final competitor for William and Mary. Already up is Capponi on the beam. And getting set now on the floor, Alyssa Firth for Yale.
Staying on the beam. Here's a side aerial. Stuck landing. Split jump. Split three-quarter turn. Finding that confidence here on those 4 inches. Preparing, I believe now, for her dismount. It'll be a front tuck, not her dismount, but one of the elements of her routine. Little shaken on that tuck. Back handspring step out. I believe she wanted to connect that, so it would have been a front tuck, back handspring step out for the extra points and the connection.
Well, she did a wonderful job maintaining her balance on the beam.
And keeping that short memory, forgetting about the front tuck and going right into her next skill. For her dismount, it'll be a 1.5 off the end. Big step back. That'll be about 2/10 to 3/10 deduction.
Caroline Capponi for William and Mary. Swinging over. Oh, first we'll see the dismount, and then we'll get over to the floor.
Here's that back 1.5 dismount. Nice form. It actually was a double dismount, sorry. Double
And
rotation.
Finishing up on the floor, Alyssa Firth. We'll look at her 3 passes, Allison.
Starting off, she has a front handspring, front double full. She normally likes to connect that to a front tuck. It looks like she left out the front tuck connection. Then she has a front handspring, front layout, front full. Losing her arm placement a little bit there in the series for that pass. And her last pass was a front 1.5.
And finishing up, and now coming onto the floor, Sloane Smith. And this is the first time we've seen Sloane today. A senior from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Her final floor routine here at the John J. Lee Amphitheater on the campus of Yale.
Another emotional routine. There's 3 seniors on this team. The captain, Allison Bushman, will not be competing due to a shoulder dislocation, but her event was bars. We saw Meg Ryan earlier on the bars, and now we get the treat of watching Sloane Smith on the floor. Little miscommunication there with her music that started early.
There's no deduction for that.
No deduction for that, no. And you have to be right on your music. That musicality is factored into the score, so you have to stay right onto your music, and so it would throw you off if it starts a little late. Beginning with her first pass, huge double back. Look at that senior confidence there.
There is a large group of supporters for Sloane.
That was a split full turn.
Just above the floor.
For her jump. And Sloane is a very powerful tumbler. She's able to put up a lot of height on her tumbling passes. As we watch here, it's her front handspring, front layout to a front half split jump connected to that. A lot of height on that sequence, a lot of power. Very enjoyable to watch here on the floor exercise. She's always right on her music, makes it very dramatic, totally embraces each tone in her music. And that was a popa, which is a straddle full turn for her jump. Straddle full. Her teammates cheering her on for that last pass coming up. It's going to be a back 1.5 to a front pike. No issues there. Chest lifted, found her landing. She loved that routine. You see the fist pump going over to clap all of her teammates' hands for the last time she comes off the floor here in the Payne Whitney Gymnasium. Emotional routine,
And
Mark.
the supporters just above the floor, they're going wild. These tumbling passes, Allison, were outstanding.
So much height there on her double back. No problem getting that chest up, finding her footing. Then there's the front layout, front half, connected to her split jump. Little bounce up, but great pass. And then here, her last 1.5 to a front pike. And look at her face. She knows she hit that last pass. And that's all she was looking to do, hit for three for three on those passes for her last outing here. She did just that.
Excuse me, Allison. Katie Waldman hanging on to the beam.
Little balance check there, using what we call monkey toes in gymnastics to grip the beam and use anything you can to stay on there. Split half. Making her way down to the beam, showing those different levels. Again, factored into the score. Checking off all the boxes you need, that full turn. Keeping her shoulders lifted, not dropping them down.
No bobble there.
No bobble there at all. But finishing with, a gainer onto one foot and then a gainer full off the end, off the side of the beam for her dismount. Difficult dismount, but very fluid. Let's replay that dismount. Let's watch one more time. Here's that gainer. So coming off one leg, casual gainer right into her dismount, which is a gainer full off the end. Chest lifted, feet glued to the mat, stuck landing, salutes her judges.
Is that a tough
Call that a
dismount
day.
in the middle of the beam instead of everybody else goes off one of the ends?
It's kind of preference, Mark. It's what you are comfortable with doing. If you want to make your way over to the end of the beam, some people might not like that because you have to really space it out and time it out because you don't want to take a step too far or you're already off the beam. So sometimes it's more comfortable to finish right there in the center. And here's Ncaa Rules on the floor for the Bulldogs. That's my favorite floor routine that we've seen yet with all the Michael Jackson moves there in the middle. She has so much fun, Mark, with this routine.
I love that little tumble with shoulders only, no hands.
No hands. She shows a lot of personality here on the floor exercise.
It's dripping all over the mat.
And that was her last pass. It was a double pike.
Ncaa Rules.
Ncaa Rules is just a junior, so she has one more year. She's from Houston, Texas. Cognitive science major.
Really a lot of fun. You hit the nail on the head. It's a lot of fun and gets the crowd involved.
That's her front layout, front full for her first tumbling pass. And then here's her last one, a big double pike. So back handspring. Getting the height, getting the form in the air, gluing those legs together, grabbing on behind her thighs, landing a little short, but pulling that chest up to get the landing.
Here's Evan Pakshon on the beam for William and Mary.
From Los Angeles, traveled a long way over here for school. And everyone has their own way that they also like to mount the beam. Mark, we were talking about the dismounts. There was a front aerial. But people also have a specific way that they prefer to mount the beam as well as dismount the beam. So some like to jump straight up and get going. Some like to touch the beam, work their way up to standing. Here's a back handspring step out. Making your way sideways on the beam. Touching that beam, lowering herself back down, showing her flexibility and her beautiful lines. We saw her on the floor earlier. She was doing those dance moves where she had that illusion turn, showing the same fluidity here on the beam, the same artistry. That was a switch half to a stag jump. Again, showing that flexibility there, pulling up her leg all the way to the ear. Getting ready for, I believe, her dismount side aerial to a full off the end.
Evan Pakshon for
Smooth
William
routine.
and Mary.
Very smooth routine. Here it is. It's a side aerial followed by a full right off the end. Small step back. That should post a decent score for the tribe. Looking back on floor right now, what's going on? Yes, Emma Firmstone, oh no. That's not what you want to see. She had some difficulty there. We saw earlier on the beam. Some difficulty there now in her last pass. Don't want to make excuses for her, Mark, but we do know some of the Yale gymnasts are fighting off that flu and trying to stay healthy right now and trying to stay healthy in the mid-season. Starting off on her first pass, had a couple steps. The heel right there on the line. That's going to be a 3/10 deduction.
Interesting, the extra mat was there for the first tumbling pass, but on the third in the same corner, it was not.
So we saw a double pike, then we saw her front full to front pike, and here's her third pass, the front 1.5. Not able to complete the rotation. It almost looked like her feet came straight out from underneath her. That feeling is something you can't recreate, something you never want to feel as a gymnast out there on the floor. You always want to feel in complete control. And it seemed like the sophomore Emma Firmstone might have just lost a little bit of that control here today.
You got a quick glimpse of Aaliyah Kerr for William and Mary preparing now for the beam. This junior from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Posted a big score already on floor. Showed a lot of confidence there. A lot of the floor skills also transfer over to the beam. So when you're a beam worker, strong beam worker, you're typically a pretty strong floor worker as well. A lot of the same elements are incorporated on one another. And JC Ball Divino is up next on the floor. She just saluted her judges, and I'd love to take a look over there at this floor routine because she has the ability to post a very impressive score. Getting started. She'll start off with a huge double pike. She has a lot of height, a lot of power in her tumbling. See what I mean, Mark?
Absolutely.
No issue with that. Very difficult skill. Makes it look super easy, like we could just go out there and throw one right now. Showing all smiles. Her switch ring to a split full. Her second pass will be a front layout to front full. Watch this. Nice form in the air. A little off her equilibrium. It looks like she took a small step to her right. Nothing she can't handle. And I have enjoyed watching JC all afternoon here at the gym just because I love how she is as a competitor. I love her energy. I love her excitement. She'll have a big 2.5 here to finish. Completing her rotation. Finishing up her all-around for the day. And it was unsure earlier whether or not she would even compete floor or vault today based on those shins. I don't see her wincing in any type of pain over there.
Not at all. JC Ball Divino, as Allison mentioned, wrapping up a very strong performance on all four apparatus. So we'll get her all-around score in a little bit and her floor exercise totals as well. Back over on the beam, Aaliyah Kerr.
The junior from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Strong, powerful athlete. You want to get right into your skills because waiting before skill is a little bit of a deduction. She had a back handspring step out to a 1.5 off the end. She'll high-five her teammates.
Aaliyah Kerr on the dismount again, Allison.
Let's watch that one more time. Front aerial. Ooh, that was from earlier on in her routine. Looks like she wasn't quite straight on, unable to square up her hips. That was that back handspring step out to a 1.5 off the end. Small hop forward. She will get 5/10 off for her fall off that front aerial.
Jade Buford, the sophomore from Coppell, Texas, now on the floor for Yale.
She'll start off with a double pike. Lot of power. We see a lot of power from the Yale Bulldogs on the floor exercise. We saw it from Sloan. We saw it from JC. Now we're seeing it from Jade. And her music might throw you off a little bit. It's very sweet, but she's very, very powerful. Her second pass was a front full to a front pike. She has a difficult jump series right here. Switch leap, switch half to a wolf turn. And her turn is also difficult. Not any, you don't get any extra points for the turn that she's about to do, but it does look really difficult. And I have to build you up for it because here it is. Beautiful leg up turn.
Where the drama builds.
Finishing up with a front 1.5. We'll see if she connects it to her split jump. She chose not to today. She has the ability to connect that to a split jump at the end. Finishing dramatically. Nice toe point, nice lines.
Jade Buford, and let's look at these tumbling passes again.
A lot of height, a lot of power right off the bat on this double pike. Chest lifted. Solid landing. Going into her front full to a front pike. And then a 1.5 to finish. Not connected to that split jump, which she has the ability to do so.
Over on the balance beam, Madison Dwyer.
There's a split jump to a straddle quarter turn. Showing some smiles and some personality. Getting ready for her gainer.
Solid landing.
Off the beam. That was a gainer pike, drawing her legs together for the landing.
Madison Dwyer, the junior out of Shoreham, New York.
And here's that gainer pike one more time off the end, drawing those legs together, small hop forward. Almost found that stuck landing there.
One more performer on the beam.
And one exhibition.
And one exhibition. Taylor White will be the anchor on the beam. And now an exhibition here. Sophia Menamenlis from Yale.
And Sophie's a sophomore from West Coast Elite Gymnastics. She had an exhibition at the Don Tonnery Invitational, so they're still working to get her up to competition level to throw her in that lineup. So they're just preparing her here. Double pike. But you see she has some very excellent gymnasts to try to beat off for that position. Some very strong Yale Bulldogs. A switch straddle to a straddle half.
Got a smile from a teammate.
Front layout to a front full. She'll finish with a 1.5 pike in her last routine. There's that leg up turn we saw earlier. A little more difficult than a typical turn, just because you have to show off that flexibility and keep your composure and your alignment. Here's that back 1.5 to a front pike connection. That's a new connection for her.
Sophie Menamenlis finishing off her exhibition. Taylor White, the sixth and final performer for score.
Switch.
For William and Mary.
You saw a switch leap there to a straddle quarter turn. Full turn. She was a level 10 state champion on the uneven bars, fun fact, in Virginia. Dancing towards the edge of the beam, feeling it. Getting ready for her dismount. 1.5 off the end. It looked like a solid routine from what we saw, Mark.
Taylor White with this dismount.
Here it is, that back 1.5. Almost stuck. Got that chest up. And you'll see the Yale Bulldogs waiting for the final scores to come in, arm in arm. Linked, you can tell the anticipation on their faces right here. You see Rowan Palmer there in the middle. We didn't see her compete today, but her face says it all right now.
Over on the beam, we have the one exhibition left. Elizabeth Snotty getting some encouragement of her own from one of her teammates. We'll get the team total scores and the individual all-around numbers to you in just a moment or so.
Yale's now able to take a big deep breath since their competition's over, but not quite done for the Tribe, as they do have that one exhibition. And a fun thing about the Tribe, they have a collective leadership, Mark. They don't have a captain. They chose not to do that this year. It's something that multiple sports teams has done over at William and Mary. They have actually decided that it's a good thing because everyone now has a voice. Everyone has an invested interest in leading the team. It's a new year, a new team, and everyone has a role to play in their success. And that's, I think, very interesting. Here's Elizabeth Snotty, the sophomore from Arizona, a product of Desert Lights Gymnastics. It sounds dry and hot. There she is, gathering her composure, taking her time before she hits a back handspring step out, layout, step out. Composure was well used. Full turn, showing her confidence. You see her teammate filming her, shooting her in the background with the iPad. Got a switch leap to a switch half. A split half, excuse me. Side aerial. Getting that experience here in the exhibition of being judged collegiately. Cartwheel to a gainer off the end, gainer full. And that will wrap up all 4 events here at today's meet, Mark.
Yes, indeed it will. We are waiting as the totals are tabulated. Team score. All around winner today in this dual meet will be determined by the scores as well. A great day of gymnastics for both of these programs.
Everyone waiting for those final scores to be called in, and we mentioned it earlier, but at this point in the season, Mark, they're 5 meets in. You're trying to limit your numbers in practice. You're trying to keep everyone healthy so that you're able to have a full healthy team. For Yale, it's going into the Ivy Classic next week. And for the Tribe, it's to finish out the season, both teams making it to the ECAC championships, contending for that title. Yale got to win the ECAC last year for the first time ever in school history, and our score sheets are just coming in.
Well,
we'll take a look back on these highlights as Mark, you break down that score sheet for us in just a sec. So looking at JC Ball Divino approaching the vault. She has that Uchenko full. Beautiful vault, solid routine. Here's Charlotte Cooperman on the beam, front aerial to a back tuck. That no hands beam routine for the sophomore. And then we have JC Ball Divino again on the floor. That's that front, the 2.5 twist. Again, Ball Divino, no Jessica Wong here on the bars. We have a full and dismount. What an impressive showing by each Yale Bulldog today. They have a lot to be proud of in today's meet. Great showing on beam, bars, vault, and floor. All 4 events getting to work in that Olympic order today with that home meet, but it is the last home meet. The last home meet for the 3 seniors, Meg Ryan, Sloan Smith, and Allison Bushman, who we didn't see, but she is the captain. And I talked to Allison Bushman earlier, Mark, and I asked her how she was able to remain such an impactful captain on her teammates while she was unable to compete. And she explained that being a captain and being a leader means more than just being out there and competing and putting up the biggest numbers. It's encouraging her teammates to work as a group collectively, understand that each performance impacts one another. And it was huge for her because she said this is the biggest team Yale has ever had. So there's more girls to work together collectively, and it's important to understand that your score matters, but so does everyone else's.
Well, speaking of scores, we have tabulated the final results, and in the team competition, Yale with nearly a 2-point advantage in the victory, 194.700. William and Mary at 192.900. Your all-around winner today from Yale, J.C. Ball Divino at 39.250. Jade Buford second in the all-around, 39.075. And Katie Waldman of William and Mary finishing third in the all-around competition. So Yale takes it by a smidgen less than 2 points.
And just like that, Mark, you see the Yale's overall team score improving and improving upon itself. They're getting close to that 195 mark. That's their goal this season, to try to overcome. In program history, they've never broken a 195 record. Today, they got the 194.7, I believe.
Yeah, 3/10 of a point away from the goal.
Yes, already an improvement from last meet, up a couple tenths. That's huge, and no surprise that it was J.C. Ball Divino with the all-around, the 4-time ECAC Rookie of the Week. Again, look for her in that contention of the Rookie of the Year award for the ECAC. Impressive showing today on all 4 events. She showed that confidence level of a senior, not just a freshman. She does not compete like a freshman. She comes out there. You can rely on her on all 4 events, and that's what you have to have if you want to be successful here at the collegiate level.
Well, Yale put on a solid performance on all 4 apparatus today in a victory in this dual meet over William and Mary by the final of 194.7 to 192.90. For our entire crew here at the Ivy League Network and for my partner Allison Gaskins, I'm Mark Robbins. So long, take care, and good night, everybody.